I'm sorry we agreed after the question. Doctor, forgive me, we're going to call you a little later. Do please take a seat. Sorry for that. We'll move on to question time. Question 1, Councillor Brian Gordon.
There are many examples of roads which have been unnecessarily closed, and if not unnecessarily closed, parts of the road unnecessarily closed, when there isn't even any work going on. I can give examples, Bugle Avenue is one, Hale Lane, again, my ward, and others around the borough. Residents have complained about this, and it's often caused unnecessary delay and hold up in traffic. Can we be sure that there really will be more action taken to ensure this doesn't happen? And when members complain about this, when residents complain, that these matters of road closure will be looked into immediately by the officers concerned.
Yeah, I can give Council Gordon that assurance, but also as Council Gordon notes from the answer, his authority is now in position to issue fixed penalty notices to utility companies that breach any conditions of the road closure.
Question 2, Councillor Alison Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This administration has unilaterally and without any consultation with local residents moved Barnet to a commissioning council so that the majority of council services will be commissioned and delivered from and delivered by someone else. This is a radical change to local service delivery. When will you consult local residents on it?
Councillor Richard Cornelius.
Residents have been consulted. When?
Question 3, Councillor Brian Gordon.
Do you not think that it is sometimes a rather unhealthy obsession with scrutinising everything that is happening with councillors' parking permits? And there should be a little bit more common sense in this, and that there are sometimes more important things that should be dealt with than just looking into this issue and sometimes even persecuting members of the council when they're parking quite legitimately.
I'm not a great one for disagreeing with Councillor Gordon, but I think if a particular councillor has an issue that he or she wishes to inquire about, it is for that councillor to decide whether it is important or not.
Question 4, Councillor Ansia Soda.
Well, on the issue of council
Microphone. Could you use your microphone?
Sorry about that. Well, on the issue of council tax penalty, for example, I would like to know whether the leader thinks it is fair to impose a council tax increase on hard-working families on low pay when millionaires are being given a council tax freeze next year, together with an income tax rebate of 40k each.
Councillor Richard Cornelius.
I've heard quite a lot of that, but it seems that whinging about taxation is something that could come from many within this country. Taxation is at crisis levels at the moment to deal with the deficit that was not addressed by the last Labour government. It is simply unreasonable to put it as you do. The taxes are very high on income tax. If you drive income tax up in this country, you will drive entrepreneurs away, much like your socialist colleague in France is doing.
Question 5, Councillor Brian Gordon.
Why do we have to wait until March before we're told that planning officers will be more directly accessible to members? And can I sort of seek an assurance that whatever new systems might come to operate regarding the running of the council generally, when it comes to issues like planning, direct access will mean just that, and that if you phone a planning officer, that planning officer will be available for you immediately or pretty immediately, and not some sort of answer phone system which has been treated like, shall we say, the general customer access users amongst the public.
Councillor Jones Tamburini.
Thank you. I don't think I can add anything more to the answer I've already given. We do very much that we will have direct access to planning houses by the end of March, and I'm afraid I can add nothing further. We will have to, I'm sure this will happen by the end of March, and if you have an urgent item, it can be emailed and will be phoned back within 24 hours.
Question 6, Councillor Barry Rawlings.
Yes, thank you. I do have a supplementary one in that time. I wonder if the Cabinet member, and I thank her for the reply, can actually write to me with another update, because after putting this question, I was at a CLCH meeting and asked this question to the head of district nursing, who said, in Barnet, they have had trouble recruiting, they've gone out to another round of recruitment, didn't get much of a response, they're worried about the agency they use and are looking to redo the agency. So although they may not have told the Cabinet member there are difficulties with district nursing, they're telling everybody else there is. So I wonder if you could trace this up, please.
Councillor Helena Hart.
Thank you, Councillor.
Can't hear you.
I have to say the information that I had was the most up-to-date information obtained for me by the Chief Operating Officer of the CCG, Mr. Morgan, who had double-checked with CLCH, and this was the information that they officially gave him for this meeting this evening. So whether they are envisaging problems on the horizon or not, I really couldn't say, but the position is at present that there are no delays in discharge due to lack of support from the district nurse service, but I'm happy to update Councillor Rawlings in due course.
Question 7, Councillor Brian Gordon.
Councillor Longstaff, as you can see, I've raised this issue of Tue22 Bugle in particular and Watling Avenue pursuant to the residents' forum. I'd just like to ask, and if you, maybe you don't have the answer to fingertips, has this particular issue been looked into? Because it's been raised many times at my forum, and I really did give an assurance to the people bringing this up that I will raise it at council. So if it hasn't been looked into, could you please instruct the officers to do so, to take the necessary action? That was clear instructions to make there.
Councillor David Longstaff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm Councillor Gordon. I will indeed get back in touch with the officers. They have been contacted, but I will get back in touch and I'll give you an update.
Question 8, Councillor Alan Schneiderman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I welcome the Cabinet member's answer and indeed the decision to arrange swift refunds for the people who paid when parking was in fact free. But given this scheme was already too late and the lack of publicity meant that traders were denied many of the extra customers that could have been attracted, and given that nearly 5,000 people paid by phone, why did he not make the arrangements in advance with the pay-by-phone provider so that those residents would not have been charged in the first place?
Councillor Dean Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The idea of this scheme was to bring residents and visitors into the high streets. Once they arrived, they came in because they saw adverts in the paper, they saw adverts in the shop windows, and they heard about it by word of mouth. Obviously, there were a number of people that didn't hear about it, and those people that didn't hear about it have been refunded.
No.
No.
Lie.
Question 9, Councillor Barry Inigali.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I would like to thank you. Sorry.
We'll try again. Councillor Barry Inigali.
All right, it seems like the microphone here isn't working. Firstly, I would like to thank the Cabinet member for the answer. However, bearing in mind that the council involved also had legal expenses, which were also met by the taxpayer, does the Cabinet member agree with me that the whole episode was an unnecessary waste of taxpayers' money?
Yeah. Councillor Daniel Thomas.
Mr. Mayor, I am disappointed at a disagreement between members who cost the taxpayer so much. I think it's important that the new system will stop this from happening again. And I'd like to think that members, if they do have disagreements, can resolve them between themselves and not feel they have to take these formal proceedings, because this clearly went too far and cost the taxpayer too much.
Would a Labour councillor?
Question 10, Councillor Ross Houston.
Thank the Cabinet Member for his answer. I'm grateful for the continued monitoring. However, I do think we need to take the special nature of roads around schools into account when looking at these. I'm afraid this issue is not going to go away. Parents are still concerned. Can the Cabinet Member keep ward members informed when there are any further developments? Thank you.
Councillor Dean Cohen.
I'm happy to give the member that assurance.
Question 11, Councillor Barry Badgery.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In view of the popularity of the internet, does the Cabinet Member agree with me that advertising on the Council's website can save the Council taxpayer in the region of £176,000 a year?
Well, what if you don't have a computer?
Councillor Denver Thomas.
Mr. Mayor, as the answer suggests, a lot of these adverts are taken from marketing schools, and so it's not really the council's money that's being spent on those adverts. Now, we are looking at the need to put adverts in the press, and we're hoping that they'll take that need away, and we're already advertising on our website, so one day DCLG, well, hopefully quite soon, will say there is no need to put statutory notices in the press anymore, and then of course we are ready then to just carry on advertising on the internet.
Question 12, Councillor Andreas Ervis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased to see that Councillor Helen Hubbard agree with us that there's a great need for the centre to reopen. May I just ask her, is it possible to equip me as well with the rest of local residents and local councillors to be involved with the monitoring the situation? And as it's not a political issue, can you give me a day when she thinks that it will conclude the talks that she mentioned that she should to conclude? Thank you.
Councillor Helen Hart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Iron really must appreciate that the actual responsibility, both financial and operational, for the reopening and running of the Brunswick Park Health Centre lies entirely with the NHS, not with Barnet Council. The current situation, as I've stated, now that the gas main has finally been installed, is that negotiations are still in progress between the NHS, NCL, and the general practitioners who are due to move into the centre. I have repeatedly requested that these negotiations are completed just as quickly as possible, and I have been assured by the Chief Operating Officer of Barnet CCG that everything possible is being done to facilitate the reopening at the earliest opportunity. I repeat, Mr. Mayor, Barnet Council, this administration, is not responsible for the running and the financing of the Brunswick Health Medical Centre. Thank you.
That's all right. Question 13, Councillor Andrew Strongman.
Does Councillor Thomas think these cuts would be an acceptable alternative?
Councillor Denver Thomas.
Mr. Mayor, of course, the services listed there show the equivalent cuts of services if we were to go down that route. It would be unacceptable to the residents of this borough, it would be unacceptable to this administration, and that is why we've achieved most of our savings through efficiencies and not through service reductions.
Question 14, Councillor Arjun Mitra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could the Cabinet Member tell me how much, particularly for year 2013-14, how much...
Hello? Can't hear you.
How much has already been identified in the year 2013-14?
Mr. Mayor, all I'm saying has been identified.
You're a joke. What did he say?
The answer was all the savings have been identified. For those who didn't see. Question 15, Councillor Andrew Strongman.
Does the leader think this funding and assistance is really justifiable, considering the extensive savings being made elsewhere?
Councillor Richard Cornelius.
Councillor Strong, you of course raises an interesting point. I mean, trade unions actually have rights which are enshrined in statutes and local government agreed terms and conditions. And the danger of reducing the pre-agreed sum is that ad hoc arrangements may actually end up costing more.
Yeah.
Question 16, Councillor Alison Moore.
With respect, Councillor Cohen, you can't even organise a free Christmas parking weekend without mucking it up. What guarantee can you give us that the income really will improve?
Councillor Dean Cohen.
I stated very clearly the answer.
Oh, you've got no answer.
No, the answer.
Question 17, Councillor Andrew Strongman. Question 17 comes after 16. Sorry, Councillor.
Does the leader think that this should be more available under register of interest and considering the role of the unions?
Do you ever
I have to say, I personally would be very interested to know these figures, and I think we can look to try and find them some other way.
Question 18, Councillor Alex Brodkin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologies, I think my microphone's not working. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the length of Councillor Cohen's answer. However, it depicts a situation that is entirely unacceptable. Note the question referred to permanent solutions to the issue of Watley Avenue and stairs in Silkgreen Park. And what you've provided me with is a temporary solution. Also note that this was an issue first raised to officers on the 2nd of December 2010. So let's take kindly to an answer that says permanent outcomes are being investigated. At the 14th month of asking, the permanent outcomes are very clear. It needs to be a blue light installed, the rubbish collected between all these mount up, and CCTV in the area. When the question, of which they've been asked for the last 14 months, is when these permanent outcomes going to be delivered.
Councillor Dean Cohen.
As it says in the answer, we're working on the permanent solution to this.
You've got no answer, that's why.
Question 19, Councillor Andrew Strongman.
I know where we are now, Mr. Mayor. Does the leader think that the opposition is therefore less credible in light of the fact they've not proposed any alternative?
Councillor Richard Cornelius.
If one opposes a programme of cost cutting, and yet one knows that the council does have to cut its costs, it's intellectually dishonest not to come up with a similar programme of cuts. The current judicial reviews that are underway, which are delaying the implementation of the two outsourcing plans that we have, the costs of those will have to be met from somewhere. And I'm afraid that given the council spends most of its money on services for the public, that's where the cuts will come. And it seems very unfortunate that this has happened. And I think the potential loss may run up towards £1 million a month. And it is a heavy responsibility for those who are causing this.
Take it from the consultants!
No more contracts with fraudsters!
Question 20,
You know what I'm talking
Councillor
about.
Alan Schneiderman.
Councillors' pensions are exempted, I wonder why.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the Cabinet member's answer to my question, though, is rather misleading. I asked why he thought 5% savings from capita was good value when the DCRG guidance says best practice can save 20%. He's gone back to 2011 and included a range of savings which go beyond those that can be made from procurement. I'll just ask the question again. Given the DCRG say that 20% savings can be made, why does he think 5% that Capita are promising is a good deal?
Read the answer.
I've read it.
Councillor Daniel Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, of course, DCRG has to communicate to all councils, and those are the lowest denominator, mainly the Labour councils, who are very inefficient. And what they don't, what this advice doesn't consider is that councils like Barnet are already very, very efficient, and therefore there's less for us to make savings.
Question 21, Councillor Andrew Strongman.
Does Councillor Thomas believe this is the kind of increase in council tax we see from the Labour administration due to the lack of representatives?
Who are you? Councillor Daniel Thomas.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, Mr. Mayor. I read with interest, Mr. Mayor, that some Labour councils up and down the country who are looking to get around the cap on council tax imposed by central government. So clearly it says that Labour do actually, across the country, want to increase council tax. That's something that this administration will not do.
Rubbish. Not even for billionaires. You're right.
Just one moment, councillors.
Poll tax.
We're just trying to find out what's going on with the microphone system. Just bear with us for a few moments.
I think they've been outsourced, Mr. Mayor.
Don't buy a new one. That would save you money.
Right, we will continue.
Why not keep us in the dark?
Question 22, Councillor Andreas Armitage.
Thank you, Mayor. I will rephrase my question. Does the cabinet member agree with the closure of the police station from Calder in his ward and the proposal that there will be no police station open to the public in the constitution in which he lives?
Councillor David Longstaff.
Thank you, Councillor. There is no police station in the ward where I live, actually. Where I live. I know, but then he said where I live. Secondly, I put in writing to the Borough Commander expressing my opinion that a second police front desk should be kept open in the northeast of the borough, and that will be my Barnet.
For vote. Put one in the town hall.
Question 23, Councillor Andrew Strongwood.
Does Councillor Cohen think that given all the solar data, the roads being kept well gritted and efficient?
No.
Councillor Dean Cohen.
I have to take this opportunity to commend all the staff that work throughout. Smooth and everyone's safe. I have to say the work done by them is outstanding. Also to note in Councillor Stronglu's question, the community Keepers for Grit has also been another year of a successful story, and I'm sure next year that will grow further. Thank you.
But you can all take
Question 24, Councillor Alison Moore. Question 25, Councillor Andrew Strongwood.
Councillor, has the pledge bank scheme been successful, and do you intend to further push it?
Councillor Dean Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I mentioned in my last answer, this scheme has been a great success further on last year's, and I hope next year it will grow even further.
Question 26, Councillor Pauline Coakley-Webb.
Well, it's not working, so I'll shout. I wonder if the cabinet member realises that when you actually start out to do some shopping, the first thing you don't do is go onto the council website to see what the position is. Nor do you then faff around looking to see if a local paper has been delivered to see if there's anything there. You just actually go. So why was it not the first thing to think about to put actually notices at those places in those car parks rather than relying on everything else to what was purely a complete fiasco?
Good question.
Even the shops didn't know.
Councillor Dean Cohen.
As I mentioned last time, Mr. Mayor, the idea was to bring people into the town centres and not once they get
And then they can pay.
Question 27, Councillor Andrew Strongwood.
So the leader, I'm sure is aware that knowledge value regeneration can take a very long time. So can you give us his assurance that we'll see all voters on site as soon as possible?
Councillor Richard Cornelius.
I seem to remember I was asked a similar question about this by a Labour member some time ago. It is my conviction now that this will actually happen, that the long heralded development will happen, and I look forward to an early planning application and commencement of works within the next year.
Question 28, Councillor Anne Hutton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The pavements in Torrington Park are in an appalling state, and as I said, work suddenly stopped without warning. At the last question time. Councillor Dean Cohen, the Cabinet member, did say that income from parking would go towards highways improvement. So, given the state of the pavement in Torrington Park, could the Cabinet member assure me that this will be treated as urgent, please? Thank you.
Wrong relay.
Councillor Dean Cohen.
As with all schemes, they're set at the beginning of the year, and as this one was, it was also made very clear that it was part of Torrington Park, not the whole of Torrington Park, but I can give the assurance to Councillor Hatton that it will be put on the list for the next financial year.
Question 29, Councillor Andrew Strongbow.
Is the Leader aware if there will be any legal consequences if such resources were used for political activities?
Councillor Richard Cornelius.
No, they consult their members. I know that's right.
Mr. Mayor, I'm of course grateful for Mr. Shepherd's intervention. If there was any legal recourse, we would take it if it was something that was sensible to do.
Question 30, Councillor Arjun Mitra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I ask Councillor Rams how long the staff who took these tests were given between notification and when they've been asked to take the test? Because a couple of very distressed librarians have spoken to me about it, and I'm just wondering the background behind it.
Councillor Robert Brown.
I'm not aware of a specific case that he refers to and happily write to him afterwards, but competency-based questions and interviews have been part of local government on private and public sector for a long time. They're a valid resource and a valid technique by which to interview people, and I fully support the use of them as someone uses on a daily basis. But I will find out the timescale for these and I'll get back to you.
Question 31, Councillor Jones Scannell. Question 32, Councillor Alex Bodkin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Longstaff, for the answer that is vague, to say the least. Given that the order specifically mentioned that signs have to be erected informing members of the public about the change in policy, can you answer my question either already now or in writing later, whether all wards, as in all 21, have received at least one sign telling them that the borough-wide zone is now in force?
Councillor David Longstaff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, if you're talking vague, I mean, all you said was the signage in place? And the officers assure me the signage is in place. And it should all be in place by now. If it's not, I will find out. But if it's in all wards, I will check and let you know.
Question 33, Councillor Andrew Strobel.
Supplementary.
You just didn't want the insult to residents, right?
Question 34, Councillor Andreas Olmerdis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With regard to Dean Cohen, I just want to let him know that the car park, apparently to the office, does belong to the council. With regard to the arch from Daniel Thomas, I just want to ask him about the bins that they were promised that they will put there, if he knows when they're going to be put placed there.
Mr. Mayor, this topic is extremely fresh as far as I'm concerned, and I will certainly write to the member with an update.
Put it in their budget.
Question 35, Councillor Andrew Strongbow.
Are you up again, Mr. Mayor? No supplementary on this one.
Oh, are you sure?
I can change my mind.
Question 36, Councillor Arjun Mitra. Question 37, Councillor Jones Scannell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Automatic number plate recognition is a means of identifying vehicles which are not taxed, and also if they're stolen. Does the Cabinet member therefore agree with me that this is an excellent invention and that motorists who have taxed and insured their vehicles have nothing to fear, only criminals?
Councillor David Longstaff.
Mr. Mayor, I completely agree with my colleague.
Taser gun.
Councillor Pauline Coakley-Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Put it up.
Question 38.
No, we're just trying to see if we can get anything to work here. You just push it.
Not on that side of the
While we're waiting for the mic to work, I'd like to see one of the officers, please, in the mayor's chamber during the interval, just to try to ascertain exactly what is happening with the microphones here. It's very irritating and very unprofessional that month after month we seem to be having problems with the equipment. So perhaps somebody can come see you. Councillor Pauline Coakley-West.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would the Cabinet member like to maybe say which other sites are being explored for the position for the bin fleet? And would he also like to also welcome the news that Pinkham Way will now not be the home of the proposed largest waste treatment site in Europe?
Councillor Dean Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's different options. I can't give you the exact details tonight, but I am quite happy to write to Councillor Webb and Heath of what's happening.
Question 39, Councillor Andrew Strongbow.
Does the council Longstaff believe this legislation should also be applied to squatters in public buildings?
Councillor David Longstaff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly agree with Councillor Strongbow. I think it should be applied to public buildings and maybe with a special interest in libraries.
Good thing you don't make
Councillor Alan Schneiderman.
We lose the council chamber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thank the Cabinet member for her answer, but can I just understand the situation is not always clear-cut, and some coffee shops could be able to open up in A1 premises if they were just heating up food as part of their overall business. Can she discuss this with planning officers to make sure that the rules are strictly enforced in order to try and minimise the proliferation of coffee shops taking over retail premises?
Councillor Joanna Tomberini.
Yes, of course, I will discuss this with planning officers. And if Councillor Schneider can give me examples of what he's talking about, then of course I will take up the matter.
Councillor Andrew Strongbow.
I love one, Mr. Mayor. What services residents receive as a result of this funding and assistance?
Councillor Richard Cornelius.
Gosh, that's a supplementary that actually captures me. It's very hard to say. You're picking your choose.
Question 42, Councillor Alex Brodkin. Thank you, Councillor. Question 43, Councillor Ansuya Soda. Question 44, Councillor Alan Schneiderman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Given that parking policy in this borough still seems to be in total chaos, can we actually get on with it, reduce the prices in all of Barnet's town centres?
Councillor Dean Cohen.
Mr. Mayor, we're working our way through all town centres carefully to ensure that it's correct for that town centre. It's not just about pricing, it's about how movement of traffic, and it has to have the correct bays and correct locations.
Councillor Pauline Coakley-Webb, question 45.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've not yet received the list that's been promised. I note that the council has now actually received over £17,000 for the privilege of selling off assets that were donated by the public to our museum. But I would also like to know that considering that when this sale was about to take place and the Cabinet member was happily tweeting that Barnet Museum could have whatever they want, why was that reneged on? Why were they actually stopped from having some of the items that they earmarked that they would have liked the Barnet Museum, rather than you wanting to pocket the proceeds from what is public donations?
Councillor Robert Rams.
These weren't all public donations, these are things that we've collected, bought over the years. We don't have the resources to store them anymore. I'm pleased they've now gone to a home, to good homes throughout the country. I'm sure people in Barnet are pleased that a skirt lifter is now not our property.
Great. You idiot. Sell the mace. Sell the crown jewels.
Barnet Museum were offered a number of items, and they took some of those items. I'm pleased that they're able to do that.
You are question 46, Councillor Alan Schneiderman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I just ask Councillor Rand, because it seems like he talked about turning North Finchley into a landmark library, but this seems to be going the same way as the Arts Centre being a landmark library. He's announced it, put it in his blog, but we've still got no plans and no funding. Is this going to go the same way as the Arts Depot?
Councillor Seisman, there are plans. There will be a much improved library, a landmark library there that will benefit residents throughout that area, and as soon as I can bring forward proposals, I will do.
Bring books there. Question 47, Councillor Alison Moore. Question 48, Councillor Alan Schneiderman.
No supplementary.
Question 49, Councillor Alison Moore. Question 50, Councillor Alan Schneiderman.
No supplementary.
Councillor Brian Colbert.
Is it not slightly hypocritical to oppose police station closures when these were clearly signposted in the mayoral election campaign last year? And wouldn't the cabinet member rather see police officers on the beat than unused physical buildings sitting empty in the borough?
Rather only the town hall.
Councillor David Longstaff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The plans for Barnet do actually include an increased number of warranted officers on the streets of Barnet. So I think the plans will be better for Barnet.
Question 52, Councillor Brian Coleman.
Thank you, sir. Does Councillor Thomas have any further information? Because this matter of Sandy Road has been going on for a considerable number of years and surely needs to be brought to a conclusion. Has the officers explored with the proposed Archer Academy whether the field could be used as their playing field when the school opens next September?
Councillor Daniel Thomas.
Mr. Mayor, we're well aware of the Archer Academy's desire for this land, but it's quite a complicated scenario, and it depends what capital receipt we get from DFE, and of course with regards to the Stanley Road playing fields, Sports East Finchley. We asked them to work together with other bidders and people interested in this land. They then went to a public meeting and have got substantial public support for working with other people interested in this land. So we'd like to see that through actually. And as I say in this report, we'll bring a report back by half of this year.
Thank you, Councillor. That's time allocated for questions.